Hello YouTubies! Today, first modification on the Temu Max Power build. We're going to make a custom bonnet. I've got two, so I can pretty much experiment and do what I want with this one, which is arguably the worst when you look at the paint. So we are going to have a look at what we're going to do. We're going to give some stuff a go, share what we've spent, and hopefully at the end of it, have a one-off custom bonnet or hood for the Temu Max Power Focus. Join us for the ride.
So what I'm showing here is a very rough drawing of trying to get what's in my brain into a medium in which everyone can kind of understand it before it happens. Rough outline of the bonnet. Going to definitely be doing hood pins here. That's what these indicate. Just some fine artistic work. Anyone who's watched any videos of mine before about my car will know I'm a big fan of non-symmetry in cars, so the hood is going to follow that. Max Power build, some of the hoods and bonnets are absolutely crazy, some of them split in half. I want to do what is, I think, within my capability, that we can make look good, that will also stand out a bit and be a little bit different. So the bonnet already has these curves in it down this side. What I'm going to do is, I think, going to cut some slats in this side, then inwards from like the back end being lower to take air in. I think we're going to pop the hood up, the bonnet up slightly so it sits at an angle and have that look, and they will be just meshed off. And then on this side, the air filter sits around this location. So there may be some function, probably add a whopping half a horsepower by doing this, but just get some more air going to it. Let's at least make it functional as well. We'll follow the curve down on that side, the curve here, and have kind of a bigger scoop. And then we're going to use the first piece that I've bought for this from Temu, which is this. So this is just a plastic scoop. It's very cheap. It will do the job. £2.51, which is what this job's going to cost us. Plus, if I need to buy any more mesh, I don't know if I'll be able to factor in the costings of stuff I already have, but that's kind of the idea. And I think we're going to get a lot of this in these videos. An old Chinese instructions. Well, cram the place where you prefer to stick. Airflow. That's I think we're going to have a lot of fun with this. So let's go and like mark up where we're going to make some cuts and see how we do.
So just coming over to the actual bonnet from the drawing, these are the lines I talked about. These will be excellent guides. I will trust that Ford has made them symmetrical, same from the outside, etc. I'm going to devise a way to mark straight down so that it's parallel, follow this line. Now give us the shape into those slits that we're going to have in there. And then similarly, the bit that's going to run down here, I think the airbox is around here, so we'll have the scoop sit about there and have a channel that kind of feeds into it that's one. That will give us some elevation here, so it's not going to be flattened in the bonnet. And then in here we'll have obviously the grills, which will be lower than the line of it, so it'll give it some texture or some effect, if you like, over here, a bit more of a loudness. And then, providing we end up liking it, then the idea would be probably sand it all back, give it a coat of paint so that a wrap would stick to it, because we are going to wrap the car eventually. Probably makes the most sense when I've done the bits with the body that I want to do. And if I totally mess it up, I've got another bonnet over there, so this is a... Well, let's just measure, mark some stuff up and get cutting. So let's get to it. So I think we've got the plan. This side, worked out where they're going to go, quite happy with where they sit, and obviously make sure we do some nice clean cuts. That's going to be paramount. You can see this well enough. The hard line is where we'll cut, the dashed line is where we have the bend. That should be every 6 centimetres and give us 4 slats that all run up, follow roughly this shape at least. And on this side we're going to take this section of that, go in, so cut there, cut across the back up there and bend that in, and then this bit will be fully removed under the scoop, and that will sit there. And yeah, time to cut some metal. Let's see how we end up. Now we're going to get to cutting. A couple of pre-cutting conditions, or things you want to considerations would be a much better word. First of all, what have you got available? I don't have little cutting discs, so corners I might have to do with a hacksaw or something when we get there. We've got a second skin underneath the bonnet that we will have to go through eventually, and to help reduce the risk of cutting up through the bonnet later, what I'm going to try and do with my cuts is make them as deep as possible, but considering as you cut in with the disc it goes further across, this is why we might not be able to get the corners. I'm going to just take the time, be careful. I've remeasured just to make sure I'm happy with where everything's going to go on that side and use it as a bit of an experiment. Got a smaller disc that might help, we'll see, but let's get cutting and see what we end up with, knowing if we completely muck it up. I've got another bonnet, so well, let's maybe learn some things. Now we'll see here, we've got the outlines coming through. That was the reason for trying to cut deep where we could. The underneath ultimately doesn't need to look massively tidy yet. But what I do need to do is get off this second skin reinforcement where I can. So I think I'm going to work around, follow the line guides that are in there, see what I need to do. This is going to be a little bit made up as we go. But here goes. Cut the back skin where I'm relatively comfortable that I can use the power tools and cut without impacting the actual skin we're trying to keep on the other side. So now I'm going to work my way around with screwdriver and various sharp pointy cutty things, and just see if we can start lifting some of those bits up, ultimately to give this piece of metal flexibility to bend, so we can bend the vents in. We'll see how we get on. This should be fun. These might be very, very famous large words, but this is going relatively easy and well so far. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm quickly, might not even bother filming it, just going to remove a few more edges of things so they don't impact the actual folds coming in, and then work out how we're going to tidily fold it. Trying to give you a good view here of everything that's happening. So I've trimmed off just a few more pieces. Pretty confident all the flaps will bend in where I want them to. Now, always being somebody who's guilty of overthinking things, definitely in my head makes sense that on these edges that are all still obviously quite sharp and leery, I go around and file all of them before I'll then have actual bits of the bonnet folded in and in the way. So we're going to do that. It occurred to me it probably makes more sense to cut this side before I bend the other side and then create potentially more depth and things that I then might squash back up. I'm just going to go and cut this. This one's where the scoop's going to go. The bit in the X, I've remeasured again. Bit in the X is going to be just open because the scoop will cover that.
And then this bit here is going to be cut down these edges with the idea of it kind of folding in. And then once I've got a gist of kind of where everything's going to go, I think the intention will be using like body filler and stuff to kind of shape it into being a piece of one shape, sort of, as opposed to it just looking like a bolted on scoop. But obviously it's all going to disappear in essence when eventually we wrap this thing. So let's see what happens. Right, both bits where the cuts have been relatively cleaned up now with the file, so it's going to be a case of let's go and bend these guys through next, and then we'll move on to whatever's after that. So this is where we're at. This is an initial first bend, if you like. The one on the right hand side here is quite a long piece. It's hanging a lot lower than it's going to be when I'm finished with it. I realised this little part across the actual scoop here will probably have to go. The intention over here is going to be to put something down the sides, potentially some mesh on the inside because of, I don't know, leaves, but also it will look cool. But I'm fairly happy with those, and then once they've all had a file and a clean up around the actual edges, that will look quite nice. This side we're going to do something similar, but I think down these edges here we're going to have to put in another piece of metal if we've got enough skin to weld it to, as opposed to trying to weld it to the actual bonnet or hood itself, because what I don't want to do is end up burning through it. And then we will mount the actual scoop properly. It's just sitting there for now just to show you this is the concept. But other than that, I think I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm going to go ahead and do some file tidying up here and over here, and then it will be on to the underside and meshing it, or whatever we're going to do there, before then looking at trying to make everything look smooth and nice. One other thing I want to think about is I've got underskin, you can see just there coming through, like you can see it there. There's also a similar thing happening, you can't quite catch up the camera here, where we've got the beams from underneath kind of where they've been cut, so they might get trimmed further back so they're not visible, or I don't know, paint them black, maybe they'll just disappear. Let's see. This should now give you a good idea of what we are going for ultimately. And this time I've actually put the scoop on to give you the impression of what we are looking at. So that's how it's come out for now. So there we go. If you're watching this, I've left this video here because I'm going to wait on some parts. I'm going to put some hood pins in this, so I'm waiting for those to turn up before we go and do anything kind of heavier. In the meantime, I'm going to work out exactly what I'm going to do with the gaps in here. So in the next video, I would expect that we will tidy all of this up, enclose these with some mesh. Similarly over there, work out how we stop exactly what we want to do. Do we want to put some metal down the side? Do we want to use something else, plastic, whatever, just to keep the shape, and then mount the cowl, and then probably look at like the body stuff if we're going to merge anything in with the like body filler and stuff like that, and then probably sand it all in the, you know, ready for loosely some paint, so that then we can attach the wrap when the rest of the body's ready. I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you're ready to see the next bit. Be subscribe, follow the build along, give us a like, comment below. Still need someone to pick a colour that I go, oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, let's have that colour. So give us your ideas of what you think this will look good in, and follow us on Instagram. See you in the next video.